Be warned, everybody. What you are about to see might make you dumber. Jacob Chainsley, best known as the QAnon Shaman, has given his first interview since getting out of prison. And it is bonkers. Welcome to Occupy Democrats. I'm David Reddish. So, Chainsley was one of more than 1,500 January 6th insurrectionists pardoned this week by Donald Trump. No doubt you'll remember him from that fateful day, thanks in large part to his choice of wardrobe. Which, by the way, does anyone else get Grand Poobah Couture from this outfit? I'm just asking. Maybe Chainsley is a big Flintstones fan. I don't know. Apparently, though, he's never seen a television interview before, which might go a long way toward explaining what you are about to see. Chainsley is a former Navy vet. During his trial, his defense presented evidence that he suffered from schizoaffective disorder. That's schizophrenia, for those of you unfamiliar, a severe mental condition characterized by hallucinations, paranoia, awkward socializing, and delusions of grandeur. That might explain a lot. Chainsley found a post-military career in spreading conspiracy theories and general stupidity. He also tried to find work as an actor, but wasn't so successful. Following his participation in the January 6th attack, in which he was photographed on the dais of the Senate chamber, Chainsley pled guilty to obstructing an official proceeding on September 3rd, 2021, and was sentenced to approximately 4 years in prison. Chainsley later apologized for his participation in the attack, saying, quote, "Men of honor admit when they're wrong, not just publicly, but to themselves. I was wrong for entering the Capitol. I have no excuse whatsoever. The behavior is indefensible." Chainsley has since changed his tune. Take a look at this, and be warned, this is a very long clip. Make sure you watch it all the way through to the end.
Well, now is your chance to be absolutely clear about this. Are you saying you did not go into that building to try to stop the certification of the accurate 2020 US presidential election result?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I did not go into the building for that reason. And the fact that you still think that I did just shows how distorted the media lens actually is.
On that point,
because that
Jake,
was never my intention.
Jake,
that's never been my intention.
I'm just literally looking at what you pleaded guilty to. That's what I'm going from. You pleaded guilty to unlawfully obstructing an official proceeding, i.e.,
and
the
didn't
certification
the Supreme
of that.
Court say that? But didn't the Supreme Court just say that that is not a practical application of the law whatsoever, and that the government was bending the law to gain convictions out of people?
Give us your reaction to being pardoned for that day by President Trump.
It feels just like it should.
Go on.
Well, I think that pretty much says it all.
Describe your emotions when you heard.
I think I got the news from my lawyer when I was at the gym, and I walked outside and I screamed freedom at the top of my lungs and then gave a good Native American war cry.
And did you expect him to follow through on what he has promised on a number of occasions through the campaign trail?
I expect Donald Trump to be a man of his word like he has been for decades. And that is a track record that we don't have with pretty much any politician in D.C. for the most part. Very few have that kind of a record of saying the same things and doing the same things, which are pro-American, for over 30 years.
You wrote on X after you'd heard the news, "Thank you, President Trump. I'm going to buy some mother effing guns." Because presumably now your record has been wiped clean, you are allowed to buy guns again. Is that what you're going to do? Have you gone out and bought them already?
Oh, yeah. Well, I want you to think about something. The mockingbirds in the media and the government demonized me. They made me social pariah. They attached things like QAnon, conspiracy theorist, white supremacist, insurrectionist, racist, homophobe, terrorist. They attached all those labels to my image. And then they imprisoned me for 27 months, 10 and a half in solitary confinement. And then they released me to the public as social pariah without the ability to own a firearm. So I can never really actually bring in a gun to a gunfight. I always have to bring a knife to a gunfight.
Okay, hang on. I'm sorry, but I have to interject here. Chainsley denies being part of the QAnon movement, but the man showed up on January 6th carrying a sign that said, "Q sent me." Prior to the Capitol attack, he also did interviews saying that he wanted to bring attention to the QAnon truths. On January 6th, he even tweeted calling himself a QAnon and digital soldier. But maybe Chansley's truth changes from moment to moment. Anyway, back to the clip.
And you do realize how wrong that is, right?
Jay, you pleaded guilty.
I pleaded guilty. So is this how we do things in England? I say, yes, you can't see, the forest for the trees, my dear.
Why did you plead guilty then?
Have you ever been in solitary confinement before?
Tell me why you pled guilty.
I'm asking you the question, dear. Have you ever been in solitary confinement? The answer is no. Have you ever had the media and the government simultaneously mischaracterizing your involvement in some sort of a politicized travesty that is being used to actually circumvent the law and certify an election that in every way, shape, and form has all the hallmarks of a regime change and corruption? I mean, you've never been in my shoes. You don't want to be in my shoes. You're too afraid to be in my shoes. That's why you're behind the camera that you're behind, and I'm behind the one that I'm behind.
And that's why I'm asking you to give me an insight into why you pleaded guilty.
I just gave it to you. But like I said, you can't see the forest for the trees, my dear.
Explain it to me. Go on.
No. I am in no way, shape, or form obligated to explain anything to you, especially now.
What do you mean, especially now? Because you're a free man and you've been part. Well, you were released a little while ago.
Not just that. I've been vindicated more than once, dear. And the BBC has its reputation in the gutter. You guys covered up Jimmy Savile for years. You covered up the rape gangs for years. You guys got the Dorian Gray image right in front of you. You got your own painting right in front of you. I mean, it's no offense, it's what you guys deserve as an institution. I don't know if you're one of the people that covered this stuff up, but I mean, you guys, you all know what you did over the last several decades. You know who you've been protecting.
I've spent years covering abuse of young women and young men as it happens. But anyway, not long after you...
I'm glad to hear that. Did you cover the rape gangs, or did you help cover that up? Did you cover Jimmy Savile while he was doing all that stuff to those children with special needs?
Jay,
or did you cover the fact that Prince Andrew went to Epstein Island?
Not long after you were jailed, you said you regretted what you did, that you were wrong for entering the Capitol building. And then when you got out of jail, it sounded like you weren't remorseful or regretful anymore. Where do you stand now?
Holding on to regret or hatred or anger or depression is bad spiritual hygiene. I regret nothing. You understand?
Would you do the same again?
Because I'm a better man because of what I went through. Do you regret things that are hard that you go through but make you a better human being? No, because they made you a better human being. And in all honesty, if you think of my lack of presence there on January 6th, then what you'll find is that January 6th narrative no longer has an Achilles heel. So I was the Achilles heel of the January 6th narrative because the media made me one, because they lied. They lied en masse to billions of people, and then it came back to bite them in the ass.
What did they lie about, and how has it come back to bite them in the ass?
Lord, if you can't read the writing on the wall, dear, there's nothing I can do to help you.
Jay, I'm asking you.
Oh, and I'm telling you. Can you dig what I'm saying? You can't figure this out on your own. There's nothing I can do to help you, dear.
Donald Trump.
Because I can't. There's nothing I'll be able to say to you. Do you understand? Like you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. You can lead a person to knowledge, but you can't make them think. I'm leading you to the knowledge, but I mean, it's up to you to think about it.
Donald Trump called you, all those who were convicted after January the 6th, called you unbelievable patriots. I wonder if you also support the pardoning of those who were convicted alongside you, but who attacked police officers, for example.
Well, if they served their time, if they were in prison at the time, then, they did their time. They did their sentence. I leave it to the president's discretion in all honesty. He's the one that has the Department of Justice and the files at his disposal. He's the one that has the large legal team. I don't have any of that stuff. I trust his judgment way more than I trust the judgment of people like Merrick Garland or Joe Biden.
I wonder what you would think if people had tried to stop the certification of Trump's win this time around.
I didn't try to stop the certification. That's the thing you people just don't seem to understand.
I wasn't necessarily saying you did.
Stopping the certification.
I wasn't necessarily saying you did. I was just asking a broader question.
But stopping the certification was not in the best interest of any Trump supporter. We wanted there to be a debate. It was in the best interest of the deep state. That's why I believe they staged the whole thing to begin with.
What would
you know, in all honesty, that's about all the time I have, my dear. So I'm
would you do it again?
Go.
Would you do it again, Jake?
What kind of question is that? Do you mean like if I had the knowledge that I have now, would I go back and do the whole thing all over again? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yes? Is that it?
Yes.
If I had the knowledge I have now and I could go back, I would try to stop the whole thing from happening. I'd go down to the Capitol before Trump was even on frickin' stage, and I would hold sacred space. I would say a prayer. I would get everybody focused on God and God alone and not easily provoked.
Thank you very much for talking to Newsnight, Jake. We appreciate your time.
God bless.
So the reporter here, Victoria Derbyshire, deserves mad credit for keeping her cool during that mess. Chansley now seems to claim he wasn't even there on January 6th, and the whole thing was an invention of the media and deep state. Given the sheer volume of photographs and film footage of Chansley during the attack, I have to wonder if he's not trying to gaslight the world. It's not working, for the record. We know Shaman Chansley has trouble staying in touch with reality. For further proof, I refer you to the moment when he called Donald Trump a man of his word. And speaking of fact-based evidence, Jacob Chansley only further reinforces the perception that MAGA and Trumpism are actually forms of mental illness, beliefs espoused by people totally out of touch with reality and who struggle with deep and dangerous psychological problems. But then, that shouldn't come as a shock either. I'm David Reddish, you're watching Occupy Democrat.